I'm Aiden, and Guilty Gear Strive is the best looking fighter game of all time in my opinion. Wonderful backgrounds and absolute mastery of the 2D but actually 3D art style, and of course, amazingly animated. I've actually been meaning to make this video for a while now. See, I'm a really big fan of Mockrock, and really like his video on the best of every Smash animation he made, oh my god, 5 years back. So, when I started playing Guilty Gear as my main game in June of last year, I always had the thought of a video like this in the back of my mind. And now, 600 plus hours and a bunch of locals later, I think I've got a list I'm happy with. There's no real defined criteria to this, it's just what I think looks the coolest and fits the category the best. Now, that said, I ended up going extremely overboard. I started with just normals and a few specials, and then I went on a few discords to ask for suggestions for moves to make sure I was covering all my bases, but I didn't construe myself well enough, and ended up getting mostly categories of animation suggested. And now I'm at 41 different categories. Oh my god. There are some caveats though. I'm not an animator, and I only know the basic principles. I'm probably gonna sound really silly trying to articulate why I love some of these moves. Also specials. It took me a while to figure out how I was going to categorize these. Originally I was going to do them by input, 236K, 214P, 63S, etc. But then I realized that would be even more work, and so many of these categories tend to overlap. Like, the amount of projectiles that fill different inputs is insane. So, instead, I'm only doing 4 categories of special move. Projectile, Dragon Punch, Stun Dipper, and Command Grab. Which unfortunately means some categories like Wreckers and movement options I ended up cutting due to there just not being enough of them. I'm sorry, Tandy Step, I still love you. You would have won any category I put you in. It's gonna be a long one, so get comfy. This is the best of every Guilty Gear Strive animation. Starting with... For 5P, the jab of Strive, I've picked the game's newest daredevil, Lucy. Unlike every other 5P, which is just a single animation that gaddles into itself, Lucy's casual slap comes built in with a follow-up backhand on hit. It doesn't have much power behind it, but fits the character super well, and her smirk and closed eyes add a lot to the fun of the attack. When you hit someone with it multiple times in a row, it looks like she's shooing them away. It's very cute. Honorable mentions go to Elfeld's horns and both Slayer and Unica's jabs. Both of them come with a good pose and amazing use of smears. 2Ps tend to be a character's fastest smash option. I'm not calling it a bar rate, so they typically don't get many frames to shine. But I've decided to go with the one that looks the most satisfying to me, ABBA. This backhanded swipe from her noodle on starts up quickly at frame 4, but lasts just enough time for you to appreciate the really nice smear on her nails and that ABBA is still hugging Paracelsus tightly, and the key's eyes are still following her hand. Really sweet but missable details like that are all over the game. Honorable mentions go to Jacko's little reach out, I love how exaggerated the twist on her body is here, Bedman's headbutt that still has him protecting Delilah, and Slayer's cross-legged tap. 6P is where the animations on this list are allowed to get a little more out there, and I decided to go with one of the most creative out of all of them, Leo Whitefang. Leo doesn't tend to use magic much in his kit outside of a few moves, he mostly just swings the frickin' sword. But out of the few that do, this is by far my favorite. Flexing so hard you make a screaming projection of yourself has to be one of the funniest uses of magic in the series. It's a terrific pose made even more humorous by the fact he's gassing himself up during the move. Honorable mentions go to Potemkin's Prayer, a hilarious decision for an anti-air, Paracelsus' forced headbutt, I love that you can see him brace himself as Abba's pulls on his belt, and Abba's shocked expression like she's worried she might drop him, and Argie's graceful duck. It's weird that we don't see more 6Ps where the users moves ahead. 5K brings in our first returning winner as I've gone with Lucy's Big Boot. Even a lot of impactful 5Ks tend to be a bit gutted by the fact that their sound design is weak and their hit stop is low. But Lucy avoids this problem by having a bit of extra hit stop, and some more hang time on whiff. It's well earned too as she absolutely throws herself into the attack. Her arms going behind her back like she's about to topple over, but her confident smile and the impact of the kick shows you she's in complete control. It looks and feels great. Honorable mentions go to Gold Lewis's Big Stomp, which comes with some amazing sound design courtesy of the groundbreaking, fast silly little ballerina pose, which is shockingly fluid, and Leo's Savage Knee Strike, which I originally had as the winner of this category in my first draft, as the pose reminds me so much of Kenny Omega's V-Trigger, but when I went and rewatched it, it felt too short for me to justify giving the top slot. I should just hung there for a few more frames. 2Ks are often a character's other best smash option out of block, but come with a few extra frames of startup giving you more time to appreciate the animation. And I've decided to give to Slayer's lackadaisical kick of his legs. It's not the most impactful move in this category, but what it loses in that, it makes up for with personality. He eyes his opponent boredly while taking his pipe out and puts a good amount of focus into kicking his legs into a stretched out in the imaginary chair position. It also transitions really nicely to and from his cross-legged crouching eagle. Very dandy. Honorable mentions go to Jacko's fun breakdancing, Bridget's cute 5-frame poke, and Lucy's elegant stretch. I love the pose she strikes here so much, I almost had her win back-to-back. 6Ks tend to be one of two things: a weak overhead that will only hit you to mental stack, or the most impactful command normal in a character's kit. And I went with by far the most impactful feeling in the entire game, Sin's Hoof Stomp. The animation is given an immense amount of anticipation due to the long startup, and is paid off spectacularly with a very meaty stomp into the ground that kicks up a bunch of rocks and comes with a hell of a sound. I also adore the pose he strikes at the end. It's exactly what I'd imagine a 5-year-old would strike for a superhero pose, and it's exaggerated exactly as much as it should be. Honorable mentions go to Johnny's hilarious forward advancing splits kick, Zato's literal guillotine kick, maybe my favorite use of Eddie in his entire kit, and Slayer's stylish flipping axe kick. There are a few of these in the game, but I think Slayer's is easily the best due to its amazing use of smears, great pose, and hilarious alternate hold animation. For close slash, I've gone with Slayer, or as I like to call it, the women get it done normal. This comes with Slayer's trademark glowing purple smear used all across his kit, and it always looks terrific. And in a similar vein to Sin, Slayer's close slash smashes the ground, except he leaves a full-on crater and doesn't even connect with it. This is one of the coolest, most concentrated displays of power in the entire game, and its use reflects that. This shit is death on counter hit, and as someone who plays Slayer, damn does it feel good. Honorable mentions go to Gold Lewis's devastating shoulder bash, Soul's disgusting gut punch, and Potemkin's haymaker that actually comes with a really great follow through. All of these feel immensely powerful and satisfying. Soul especially, I love the expression it comes with. It looks like it would break every bone in your ribcage. Kai's fast slash is no thrills, no nonsense. A controlled, stylish stab with a lot of power behind it due to just how far he throws himself into it. Seriously, he leans so far into it, it almost looks like he's gonna topple over, but his legs being positioned the way they are communicates just how balanced he is. It's one of my favorite poses in the whole game. Honorable mentions go to Giovanna's triple kick, balancing herself in a different way to Kai by leaning on Ray, which I always thought was really cute. And both Lucy and Bridget's two-part strikes. The visual effects for Lucy's monowire already look fantastic, but both animations also come with some of the most satisfying looking follow-throughs in the entire game. I love the animation for the monowire retreating back into her arm, and the amazing little yo-yo trick Bridget pulls off with a precious smile. I really went back and forth on what should be number one here. Strive doesn't tend to do much exaggerated body breaking in its animations, but Slayer is an exception. His 2S is a gigantic claw swipe with amazing particle effects and a comically large hand. This animation manages to both be really funny because of that and still feel really powerful due to just how swift it is and how long his nails grow. You could probably take someone's legs out with it. It feels more like a powerful axe swing than the actual one Dizzy has. Honorable mentions go to Unica's own swipe. Love the little sparks it creates. Really sells how fast she's swinging it. It has maybe my favorite follow-up animation she has. The gun does not get enough credit for how amazingly animated every strike with it is. Next up is Ramafor's full circle ground slash. Comes with some amazing particle effects, a satisfying sound effect, and a really nice flick of the cape. And finally, Faust undergoing mitosis, which should be super gross, but somehow is one of the most satisfying and fluid animations in the game. This was actually my original winner, and I went back and forth on it for a while, but Slayer's amazing effects just barely put it over the edge for me. Consider this one number 1B. From one of the hardest choices, to probably the easiest pick on the entire list. Unica's infamous 5H has the rawest feeling of power you'll ever find on a 10-frame move. Despite being that quick, it has a great sense of anticipation as she swings her motorcycle sword that is also a gun over her head and into the ground, leaving behind a massive amount of rubble. It's moves like this that make me really appreciate Strive's big counter effect, as you get a good look at just how concentrated she is on the strike, and the destructive impact it has. There's also the follow-up she gets on hit, not nearly as powerful, but an incredibly satisfying animated gunshot that travels along the ground. I know I just mentioned it, but the motorcycle itself does not get enough credit for just how intricately animated it is. The attention to detail on it is insane. Honorable mentions go to May's devastating slam. It's iconic, has an amazing sense of impact, and a great expression. Then there's Testament's controlled, stylish scythe swing. They look so hot doing this. Fuck, I love the blood smears. And finally, Bridget's two-parter, which has a shocking amount of power behind it due to Roger making an appearance on the second strike and pushing her forward. The ignorant fool line often makes me giggle. As an aside, Bridget probably has the best follow-throughs on her attacks in the entire game. The yo-yos are phenomenally animated. For 2H, I've gone with Necro's gigantic axe swing. This attack is extremely slow and reaches comically high, giving you a lot of time to really appreciate Necro and Dizzy's dynamic. While Necro swings the axe up from the ground, scraping the floor and leaving behind an insane amount of rubble and an awesome smear, Dizzy flinches at the sheer size of the axe, before worryingly looking at her opponent when the axe reaches its apex. It's a really fun, extremely powerful attack with a lot of little details that are present throughout the rest of Dizzy's kit. God, I love this new redesign so much. Honorable mentions go to Nagoriyuki's equally devastating anti-air. As far as I know, this is the longest reaching non-super attack in the entire game, and oh my god does it hurt. Unica's uppercut, mainly for the second part of the attack, which is probably my favorite use of the gun motorcycle in her whole kit. I cannot stress enough how much I love the animation on this thing, and her face. And of course, Slayer's hilarious stomping flex. Possibly my favorite pose in the entire game. Smirk, the muscles, the cape flying up, it's all perfect. 6H was one of the hardest categories to pick a favorite for. All of them have insane impact and a great sense of anticipation. And out of all of them, I decided to go with the one of the funny Dr. Fallen Over. Look, we've just had 2 incredibly brutal heavy attacks win, and I value a bit of comedy here and there. That said, this attack still feels just as brutal as the previous 2, thanks to an incredibly violent sound effect and the little rumble that happens when Faust hits the ground. Despite him being literally light as a feather, little puffs of dust arise when he falls, giving it that little bit more impact. It's funny, it's unique, and it's incredibly in character. Speaking of brutal heavies, the first honorable mention is Nagoriyuki. Jesus Christ. Next up is Potemkin, another really unique 6H that actually reminds me a bit of Kai's Fast Slash. He throws everything into this attack. I wish I had a better follow through though, feels like his arms retract a bit too fast. But that initial animation is marvelous, very appropriate that it wall bounces on hit. And finally, there's Giovanna, and her unique Rekka 6H. I love a good knee strike, as I previously said, and Gio probably has the single best in the game. Imagine this in the Tokyo Dome. Helps that the follow-ups are just as good. All unique, all awesome poses. I was really close to giving this the top slot. God, it's so cool. 5Ds tend to be one of a character's more unique normals, ranging from anywhere from a regular sword swing, to a giant ki blast, to whatever the hell is going on with Testament. This is the biggest reminder on their almost entirely reanimated kit that they died a long time ago and are in fact a gear. Their legs tensing up when they try to open the portal and eyes going completely white and body lurching super far back as they summon the hands out of it really sells just how much strain it puts on Test and how much power is in those hands. Definitely one of the creepier animations in the game, and I do love it for that. Honorable mentions go to Dizzy's toss-up. That scrape along the ground Necro does is so satisfying, and also has one of the funniest whiff animations in the game. Not for Dizzy's skirt being flipped up, but for Necro looking at his hands and realizing that he grabbed nothing and being embarrassed about it. That's cute. Faust's iconic baseball bat. He's almost animated like a wacky inflatable arm man here, and it's really fun. And finally, Bedman's frame breaking. This one speaks for itself, really. It's something only that this character can do, and it's animated spectacularly. Another easy choice this one, Leo's picture-perfect dropkick. The Lion's entire kit is filled with moves where he just disregards all safety and throws himself at you, and a high-risk, high-reward dropkick fits him so perfectly. It's actually got a unique pose to it though. Most dropkicks I see in wrestling have some form of control to them, like they know where they're aiming and are actually looking at the opponent. Leo just strikes the star pose and screams, giving the most insane gut kick ever. I do wish this move had a longer whiff animation to really just sell how much he's putting into this, but it's instead really quick due to the move not being special cancelable. Ah well. Honorable mentions go to Testament's elegant curtsy sweep. So graceful, so beautiful, they are the moment. Dizzy's claw swipe, another great use of Necro and a rare case of these two working in tandem. And of course, Elfelt Valentine. Possibly the funniest normal in the entire game, especially on whiff. She starts out her sweep with a confident smirk before realizing halfway through she has completely overdone it, has a comical anime shocked face, and then lands painfully on her ass. It's a really great piece of slapstick. JP's one a very stacked category. Most of the poses for this animation are pretty stiff and awkward. One of the few that can be said about is Faust's, taking the meaning of punch and just throwing it out the window. Instead, he just chomps on your bones. A super creative use of both the paper bag head and his new horror-inspired design. The glowing effect used for his eye and mouth is a really nice detail, giving the attack a unique flair that not many other have. It even comes with a dog barking sound effect, which is hilarious. Honorable mentions go to Potemkin's elbow, Zato's awesome use of the Yeti bodysuit, and Baiken, who has the best actual punch out of all of them. Amazing expression. For JK, I'm finally mentioning Milia, and it's not even for one of her hair moves. Instead, it's for her wonderfully animated crescent kick. While it's not the main focus, I love how the hair flows on this attack, almost acting like a smear itself, creating a full moon as she completes her flip. The kick itself is also really well done, some very well defined arcs and an amazing follow through. It's one of the most fluid in the game. Honorable mentions go to Gold Lewis's double knees. This has the impact of a heavy attack. Oh my god, the speed lines? It looks so brutal. Bedman's Stretch Shout, a super smart use of the wheels. And Happy Chaos, purely because he's hidden the Sonic Adventure 2. Testament takes JS. While a bit basic compared to others in this category, it's made up for by a very graceful swing and another phenomenal blood smear. Something about this animation is just so pleasing to me. The way the blood trails disappear, just how clean the cut is, Testament's wonderful hair. It's defo a bit of main bias, but I think this one just looks so nice. Honorable mentions go to Eno's guitar dropkick, who I originally had as the number 1, but upon review, I think the animation's way too quick. Doesn't really have a nice follow through either. But the pose and extremely long guitar string are too iconic for me to not at least shout it out. And the guitar actually makes a sound, which is a nice touch. Zato's Bite. This is one of my favorite uses of the Yeti transformation, real Demon in the Flask from Full Metal Alchemist vibes. And finally, Happy Chaos's Gunshot. I wish the muzzle flash lasted a bit longer, but I love the pose and especially the whiff animation. For my money, probably the most entertaining air button in the whole game. Slayer's JH takes 2S's body breaking and ups the goofiness by about 1,000,000, making his fist gigantic and Superman punching the ground. It's hilarious, it's effective, it has a great pose, and it fits the Dandy Man so well. I really wish we saw more stuff like this in Strive. Abba actually has quite a few, making Paracelsus a bit longer for comedic effect. Speaking of, she's our first honorable mention. Normal mode Abba JH is an equally funny animation. I love how it looks like she's trying to wrangle Paracelsus like a horse as she thrusts him forward, it's so good. Eno is the next with her phenomenal looking guitar swing. Love the smear, the visual effects, and the follow through on this one. And finally, Soul's sword dancing. This should be a really stiff and awkward pose due to how much he curls up, but it's surprisingly fluid and effective, and very, very Soul. No regard for his own safety, he is just gonna swing the sword in increasingly insane ways until he eventually kills whoever he's fighting. For JD, I'm going with someone not known for his kicks, the time-traveling long-range British boy, Axel Lowe. Wrestling bias strikes once again, as this is one hell of a dropkick. The man has some incredible form, and even enough control to do a full backflip after it and land safely. Okada would be so proud. Absolutely one of the more underrated animations in my opinion. The pose is great, the voice line's great, and seriously, he does a full backflip. How cool is that? Honorable mentions go to Slayer's Graceful Pirouette, another very silly, very fun animation. Potemkin's Butt Slam, another very funny attack, but somehow still feels shockingly powerful. Probably because the guy weighs as much as a planet. And Soul's iconic hilt stab. Come on, it's the one with the website named after it. I actually think this is one of the weaker looking versions of this iconic JD. Exit's had a lot more power behind it, but still an excellent pose and an extremely creative use of Junkyard Dog. They should never change this. Venom takes ground throw. One of the most creative in the game in a category stacked with incredibly unique animations. Won't lie, it's mostly due to the inclusion of Robokai. I love this little gremlin and his relationship with his Baker Batman boyfriend. Him doing a stupid little flip as he goes to Aura Aura-you is such a cute detail. I love that Venom also crouches down to avoid the kanji that shows up on screen, like they're actually going to hit him. He even still runs past you if you see it immediately, which is hilarious. No other throw is something like that. Attention to detail in this game is so good. It's cute, shows off their dynamic spectacularly, and it's a great reference to one of Robokai's supers in XX. Amazing touch, that. Honorable mentions were really hard for this one, but I think I got ones I'm happy with. First up is Bedman, who brings you down for a nap and then gives intense shock therapy. Incredibly brutal animation that fits the malfunctioning bastard very well. Next is Asuka with this beautiful bow and arrow. I really wish they kept the camera angle from the trailer. It's an already wonderful animation that would have been improved even further with that change of perspective. And finally, Faust. Another contender for funniest animation in the game. He fucking vores his opponent only to bring them back via ripping a hole through dimensions. What the fuck? That's awesome. So much better than his previous one. Another really creepy Testament animation. Their air throw has them turning their opponent into a voodoo doll and then stabbing them with a bunch of nails. I don't know how they did this. They have never shown the ability to do anything remotely close to this in anything, but it is so cool, and I really wish we saw more stuff like this in 5D in their Strive moveset. Love the pose they strike here too. They are absolutely stunning. Honorable mentions are taken by Potemkin, an animation where the stiffness of it actually works in its favor. Really feels like he's bringing a hammer down on your head. It's so abrupt and funny, but it's still so brutal. I can practically hear the bonk sound effect as his fist comes down. Then there's Slayer, who is on the complete opposite side of the spectrum with an incredibly fluid, amazing looking claw swipe. Bastard even pulls a spin on you as he lands, he's so cool. And finally Dizzy. Really like the use of Undone here, encasing her opponent in ice like her ice spike, but instead of a frozen tomb, it's a spiky grave that shatters as soon as they fall to the ground. a surprisingly violent attack coming from her. Necro's ground throw is a lot more tame in comparison.
Wild Assault goes to Testament. Frankly, I think most Wild Assaults are pretty weak animations, but they all have really great poses. Testament is a rare one that comes with both. That claw swipe is so clean, and the blood effects that come from it blends creepy and badass so well. I didn't really have much to say on this one, so honorable mentions. First up, the face of Wild Assault to many, Gold Lewis Dickinson. The Coffin Bash is really cool and a very natural use of this weapon. Next up is Soul, an awesome looking haymaker with some great effects. And finally, Slayer, letting go of any sense of style or refined power and just double backhanding you across the face with a look of absolute delight on his face. A really, really fun one.
The Natural Born Gambler finally makes an appearance on this list. Johnny's Mistfinder takes projectile. Now I know technically it's not classified as one because it can't be flicked, but shut up, it fits the category. This might be my single favorite particle effect in the entire game. The speed lines around the sword strike, the dust he kicks up, the reflected glow against the dust, oh my god, it's perfect. So unbelievably pretty. And the little glint as he draws and retracts his sword, so sick. The actual animation is pretty simple, it's just him opening his sheath, but the post-struct and the amazing looking blade is enough for me to put it at the top very comfortably. Honorable mentions go to Testament's Grave Reaper. A bit of main bias strikes again, but I just love how much effort they put into digging out the skull, and the actual skull looks so good. Look at the blood trails, dude, they're so cool. Next up is Soul's Gunflame. A comparatively basic animation, but one that has an awesome pose and some terrifically animated 2D flame effects. Seriously, I want to roast marshmallows against these, they're so pretty. And finally, I'm gonna cheat a bit and pick Dizzy's Michael Sword. The only reason this isn't number one is because this isn't even a projectile. It's in the name, it's a sword strike. But I didn't have anywhere else to put it, and it's my list. She is beauty, she is grace, she will summon forth the light of God to hit you in the face. It's got an insane amount of power behind it, amazing anticipation, and the effect she gets when she hits you, this is a full-on top 10 animation in the game for me. The Dragon Punch. Possibly the most iconic archetype of move in all of fighting games. And I've gone with the Meat Cleaver. I said earlier that Unica's 5H has the rawest feeling of power in a 10-frame move. Judgment and Sentiment, also known as Danzai, has the rawest feeling of power in the entire game. The effort Ava puts into this attack is unparalleled. She almost completely falls over herself just trying to get Paracelsus up, and the look of pure concentration and jealous rage on her face as she slams him down is downright terrifying. Paracelsus literally turns into a potato masher during it. She really wants you left as nothing but a puddle. Amazing follow through with her scraping him back into place as well. Honorable mentions go to Unica's ACTG Blastoff. A comically large move with great sound design, great particle effects, and a sick-ass gun flip on a weapon the size of the user. It's so incredibly over the top, I love it so much. And of course, I can't go talking about Guilty Gear DPs without talking about Soul Bad Guy. Volcanic Viper is absolutely one of the most iconic moves in the series, and this is it looking its best. Look at how gigantic that Pillar of Fire is, holy shit! And finally, Sin's Hawkmaker. I love the sound design on this one. The kind of lightsaber sound effects he gets from the lightning are really cool. And the arcs on this one are so well defined. I adore that little turnaround he does in the air as he reaches the apex and slams down. And speaking of the ever-growing wild boy, Stun Dipper goes with Sin Kisk. I cannot even begin to understate how much I prefer this animation to Ex's take on Elk Hunt. The amazing looking new particle effects with the Dark Lightning, the fact that it looks more like Night Raid Vortex than Stun Dipper, that new follow-up animation, there is so much power behind that blast. It's so cool. Look at how his hand recoils after it, like even he doesn't know how much power he's putting into it. This is one of my favorite changes to a returning move in Strive. For the first honorable mention, it's Kai Kisk. Soul got his signature move, this is absolutely Kai's. Frankly, I do think this animation is pretty stiff, but I do really like the effects and how clean the sword swipe is. Next up is Unica's Blazer Trail. While Sin tries to replicate his uncle, Unica follows in her brother's footsteps and replicates Elk Hunt from Exit. Gun Dipper is the closest we get to the bike actually being used as a motorcycle in her moveset, which I appreciate a lot. God, it's such a cool weapon. And finally, Ino Stroke the Big Tree. I love that final strum of the guitar so much, it looks so clean. And the awesome looking blade made out of sound that comes out of the ground. God, Ino is such an awesomely designed character. This is probably my single most controversial pick. For Command Grab, I'm not going with Potemkin Buster. Instead, I'm going with Leo Whitefang's absolutely devastating Glanza des Dunkel. It is absolutely wrestling fan bias, because if there's one thing I love more than a good knee strike, it's a good powerbomb. Lord above, look at the fucking height he gets before he slams his opponent down, leaving behind a very appropriate person-shaped crater. The sense of anticipation is unmatched, and the devastation he leaves behind is sublime. One of the most underrated animations in the whole game. And yeah, for first honorable mention, of course it's Pod. Debatably the most iconic move in the whole franchise. Potemkin Buster looks, sounds, and feels phenomenal. I think Strive has its best look by far. It's helped a lot by some awesome camera work. The pan up as he jumps off screen is a really nice touch. Next up is Nagoriyuki's Bloodsucking Universe. The blood trail on this one is so violent, holy shit. And finally, once again paying the wrestling fan tax, it's Axel's Winter Mantis. He does a fucking Rainmaker. He's better than your fave. And now for the final attack animation on this list, the Overdrive. Despite impressively all being animated on ones, Strive's supers are across the board a bit subpar in my opinion. There are some standouts for sure, but they're all mostly really quick. Better for game flow, absolutely, but I do wish there were some more big cinematic supers. Luckily, there is one that has that in spades, and is unfortunately barely ever used because holy shit, this move is fucking awful. Unica's Weapons Free. An absolutely spectacular super that sees Unica fully embracing her heritage, gaining Dizzy's tail and flowing hair, and Kai's blade, the Thunder Seal. How'd she get that? We still have no fucking idea. Doesn't matter though, because she makes the best use out of it in the entire series, using the legendary blade to its fullest potential to send her opponents to the sky, and then slash them in the most over-the-top anime way imaginable. The animation of her going fucking Super Saiyan and then flying up to tear you limb from limb is so well done, and it really makes me sad there aren't more like it in this game because it's so good. This character had a budget, dude. The only unfortunate thing is, I do think the regular ender is way cooler than the 100-meter one. That downward stab is so incredibly brutal and is a fitting ender to by far the best looking super in the game. And for our final honorable mentions, we'll begin with Chip's Zansei Aroga. Always been one of my personal favorites in the game. Can you tell I like a lot of slashes into a brutal ground slam? Next up is Giovanna's Tempestade. I think I butchered that pronunciation, but this is easily the best use of Rei in her moveset. I do wish there were more instances of it. Also really creative uses of her 6H and DP. A miracle what good camera work does. And finally, diverging from the big air combo trend, there's Abba, with the Law is key and the key is king. There is so much emotion in this animation. The Paracelsus transformations, Abba's near weeping face, and the disgusting slash at the end. The sound design on this one is just beyond terrific. Alright, that's all the attacks I can do, but I still have a bunch more smaller animations I want to talk about. Won't be doing honorable mentions for these bits because this video is already extremely exhausting enough as is, so instead it'll be a lightning round. Burst goes to Lucy. Great pose, fits her very well. Roman Cancel goes to Venom, as it's the only one that's not just spreading arms and yelling, and it reminds me of this image, which makes me laugh. Standing Idle pose goes to Bridget. She does the Shiggy Wiggy, it's adorable, while Standing Idle animation goes to Bedman. Really sells that this thing is barely keeping things together at all, spurred on by a sheer will of a dead man to make sure his sister is safe. Great visual storytelling. Crouching Idle pose goes to Jacko because no shit. While Crouching Idle animation is a tie between Dizzy and Faust. I went back and forth on these for a while, and since I'm not doing HMs for this bit, I decided to put them both. Dizzy's is just so adorable and shows off her caring nature super well, and Faust plants a flower, which is really sweet, and then it immediately withers and dies, which is really sad. Poor guy. Radwin goes to Cappy Chaos because he has 4 of them depending on which button you hold down, and they're all really good. Draw goes to Faust. He dies in this animation like he is full gone ascending to heaven, and then Mini Faust brings him down to the hell he calls Earth. Man just cannot catch a break. Actual win animation goes to Abba. Why does she just have a pocket dimension? I don't know, but it's a really sweet animation with Paracelsus, and the transition into it with the door closing is really nice. Intro animation is taken by Lucy. The screen distorting as she plugs into the backyard is an amazing effect, and the entire sequence from her in the bath to the portraits of her fallen friends to her actually popping into the world of Guilty Gear is excellent. It's really long, but they make the most of every second. Walk goes to Axel's Casual Strut, while Walk Back goes to Lucy's, another great reference to Edgerunners, and Run goes to Soul dashing at you like a linebacker. There is murder in that sprint. Taunts taken by Elfeld, some really cute animations, and some incredible voice work from Cassandra Lee Morris. Seriously, the fact that she speaks a full paragraph for every character is amazing. Respect is taken by Zato, an absolutely hilarious use of the Yeti transformation. The thumbs up sprouting up like a flower still makes me giggle. And the final animation on this list, Bone Crushing Excitement, is taken by Dizzy. The wheelchair hitting Necro and Undyne's hands instead of Dizzy's shins is both hilarious and incredibly fitting for their dynamic. And that is everything I wanted to cover. Oh my god, this video really, really got away from me, and that's not even everything. Strive is a massive game, and every character is bringing with personality, style, terrific animations, and some characters I definitely didn't get enough credit to. Though if I had to pick a best animated character, I would go with either Unica or Slayer. They both have incredible facial expressions, Unica's amazing weapon, Slayer's amazing particle effects, the power in every attack. They're everything I love to watch in a character. I hope I was able to do some amount of justice to just how much I love this game. It was pretty hard saying animation good so many times. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, which you agree with, which was the biggest snub. This video definitely took a lot out of me, so if you got this far, thank you so much. I don't know when I'll next upload, but the goal is to still eventually get that Fire Emblem 4 video out. I've started it like 5 times now. It's been a year since I beat it. One day it'll get made. I just don't know when that'll be. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves.